Good afternoon to YouTube. Beauty little Friday here, getting near the end of summer, and figure why not go and do a little bit of a breakdown of the costs on building out this Sprinter van that I'm kind of renovating. So instead of drilling and doing some kind of wonky instructional video, we're just going to go over the numbers and how much it costs and how basically I can't afford to finish it off. But I've kind of, before I start any of the build, I separated it to from the interior stuff and the exterior. Now they're looking at the list now, like months later, but things that I forgot, I didn't think about. This doesn't include any tool costs and just miscellaneous costs, like things just add up, like 20 bucks here and 30 bucks here, and you're always buying things that then you don't need. So, but it gives you a pretty good idea. And when I was finalized and tallied it all up, like the number was way more than what I was figuring, but then it also wasn't surprising at the same time. It was defeating just because of how much it is. But yeah, so basically all, and again, this is Canadian dollars, so this stuff, you know, it'll change depending on where you're located. For the exterior, I'll just go through the list. I've got a rear step, a catalytic converter cover, side steps, rims and tires, vinyl hood protection, a roof rack, a roof fan, exterior lights, front bumper and a winch, some windows, a rear rack and storage, 180-degree hinges, ladder, solar panels, air conditioner, and suspension. For the interior, I had insulation, plywood framing and panels, the heating, so it'd be like hydronic flooring and heating, fabric foam and ceiling material, L-track and brackets, battery and electrical, cabinets and storage, lighting and wiring, water storage and plumbing, cooking in a fridge, and shower. And then one thing I, for some reason, put in here, a toilet. So we'll call the shower and the toilet as a whole separate item. So these numbers are by no means gospel, and a lot of the numbers I was trying to come up with were finding things used or new but unused off of Marketplace or Craigslist or something, and then just waiting for deals. So when I bought my van in December, it was kind of like I knew I was getting the van, so I was able to capitalize on some Black Friday deals, and then during Christmas some Boxing Week specials. So there was some good savings there. And then just kind of, I have the fortunate ability to be patient. I don't have to have all these things done, so I can wait for deals. But man, so we're talking 9 months since I've got the van, and well, there's been some tariffs and some other things, and things just got wonky, and inflation is still real. So I guess let's just get started on the exterior. So the rear step, that was $900. And I got that from Backland Expedition, and that was a discount from Black Friday and when I went into Calgary to get the van itself. And those guys are located in Okotoks, and really, really like that step. Super happy with the step. And for the $900 Canadian, such a good product. Yeah, that is worth every penny. It gives me a full step at the back. When I was there, I also got the catalytic converter cover. That cost me $700. That was not an expense that I had planned on or even really wanted, but then when I was at their shop and started looking at it, I'm like, you know what? Just screw it. It's not a bad thing to protect your catalytic converter. It's cheaper than the deductible on insurance if something were to happen. These vehicles are really easy to get under, obviously. The side steps. So I got these are Tech Van Life side steps. I got them during like a Black Friday special, and they cost me $1,400 Canadian, and that is for the kind of the 3 steps, I guess, one for each driver and the passenger door, and then one for the slider door. Really awkward install, but really happy with the product overall. They look good, and they've been pretty durable. So $1,400 for that. To me, that was pretty fair. The rims and tires, that took me a while to get those. My van came with factory winter tires, so I didn't have any summer or all-season tires, but I wanted to change them anyway. The rims and tires cost me $2,600, and that's actually pretty good. So the Black Rhino Arsenal rims I have, those were $1,500 Canadian installed. The sensors, the factory sensors, ended up being $200 to $300. The lug nuts were maybe $50, and then the tires, I got Michelin all-terrain tires, and they were 100% factory takeoffs, and it was a smoking deal. It was $680 for brand new tires for all 4 tires. So really happy with the $2,600. It's expensive, but overall that's cheap for upgraded rims and tires on a Sprinter. The vinyl hood protection, that cost me about $200 with the vinyl wrap and the knife tape, which I never ended up using. So it would have been less, maybe $170 with if you didn't need the knife tape. So that was, you know, it would have been $375, $400 if I had someone else do that. The roof rack, that's a Tech Van Life product again, perforated deck walkable roof rack. That was 60% off, and it was $3,000 still. So most comparable decks like that end up in the $6,000 to $7,000 range. It was more than what I had wanted to spend on a roof rack, but I'm overall really happy that I kind of upped the budget a bit and went with that roof rack, because it does look good and it's solid. So now I can go up and sit up there and stare at things. The roof fan, that ended up only costing me 415 Canadian. I was about to pull the trigger on a Max Air, and then that would have been 600 or so. And then I came across this Nomadic Air Plus fan and was able to find Panther RV products in the States, did a quick trip down to Portland area, and it was 415 Canadian. It would have been 700 in Canada, so got a good deal on that. The exterior lights, I've got $2,200 as a budget. Now, I don't really have any lights at this point. Well, I got actually, never mind. I got 2 little rigid scene lights on the side. They were, again, that was 40% off, and they were still 270 Canadian. I plan on putting a light bar on the front. I'm not sure if I'm going to put lights on the back, but I had budgeted for $2,200. The front bumper and the winch, now that is so expensive. That's $5,000 on a good day. That's cheap. And that's like the 12,000 pound Warn winch. The front bumper, you know, Backland Expedition has one that'll cost you around $3,700 or so. There are some others. My guess now, that might be closer to $6,000 or more, without finding like a smoking deal. The windows, I had budgeted $950. I got it down to $500 for the 2 C.R. Lawrence awning windows at the back. I don't have intentions to install any side windows on the van on the slider door as of yet. That'll cost roughly $1,000 if you go brand new for a slider door window or a window that goes on the sides. The rear rack and storage, I just put an X through that. I just opted out of, I don't even want to entertain what the costs are because I don't want it. My guess is you'd be in the $1,500 to $4,000 range depending on what rack and what options you went with. The 180-degree hinges, if your van comes with it, you don't need them. Mine did not. So I was budgeting $600. I ended up at $450. They were takeoffs from a Sprinter wrecker, and they were white. I had to paint them blue, but $450 for the pair, and I've only used the driver's side, so I may sell the passenger side. The ladder. This is where my budget was not good. I was budgeting $1,200. I ended up getting a ladder finally a couple weeks ago, and it ended up being $2,000. Now it's a really nice ladder, and that was still 25% off at $2,000. But the $1,000 ladders, well, there's a bee. Get away, you bee. The $1,000 ladders, I didn't want one for the side. I wanted a rear door ladder, and the ones that were in the $1,200 range were just cheap looking and not very nice. So I just accepted I was going to blow the budget on that because I've also saved elsewhere. Solar panels, I had budgeted $1,000. So far I've spent $0. The power system I bought, the guy ended up giving me a couple solar panels, so I'm ahead already on that. But $1,000 for solar, you can get some adequate solar for $1,000. If you find people selling stuff on Marketplace, that might be a better way to go. The air conditioner, I budgeted $2,000, and right now I have no air conditioner. I don't think I'm going to get a rooftop mount one. just because that means I gotta drill more holes in the roof, and then I gotta cut my roof rack and do all kinds of stuff there, and it's just, I'm not interested in that. You can get an EcoFlow Wave 3 with a battery for maybe $1,700. So there's mixed reviews of it online, but it's also portable, and it's a heater and an air conditioner at the same time, so I'm leaning towards that route for the time being. And then the last one on the list is suspension. That's $4,500. I would love to have that. That's not gonna happen right now. That would be I was looking at the Van Compass 2.3 system, which that seems to be the best for my build and my weight load. $4,500 would have been installed. Now that was months ago. It's now almost September. I don't know if that number still applies. It's just not something that I'm going to even come remotely close to entertaining for some time, unless I come into some great windfall through work. So that gives you an idea on budgeting, or something that I budgeted for the exterior on my van. All right, interior time. First off, insulation, $800, and that was another Tech-Van product. That was duct liner and the 3M Thinsulate, so kind of double layer insulation. And I think maybe I would add another $100. I bought a bunch of sound deadener as well from Amazon, which was actually fairly affordable. So we'll call that $900 for sound deadener, duct liner, and 3M Thinsulate. The plywood framing and the walls, I've got $600. I've got accounts all over the place because of my business, so I was able to get like Baltic birch plywood for maybe like $30 a sheet, half inch, or $28 a sheet. So pretty, I don't know, I think that's fair. And then I've got a bunch of 1/4 inch plywood as well, so I'm fairly close. I'll probably go over budget on that, maybe by a little, but $600 is what I budgeted. Now this is the one that is, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. Hydronic flooring and heating. I want like a Rixson style air blower and heated floors, but I'm not spending $15,000 to achieve that. I put $3,500. So I'm optimistic that I can make that happen. It's possible with the design that I have. I've got way cheaper flooring, some foam core plywood I found for $400, and the 2 sheets that I used might have been only cost me $100. So that's a good head start instead of Coosa composite board. The S-Bar D5 heater and all the Easy Start Pro and all the stuff for that is about 1,500 Canadian. So that leaves me, call it $2,000 to come up with the PEX, the coolant reservoir, and some of the plumbing and all that stuff to do it. So the hydronic flooring, I believe it can be done for $3,500. TBD on that one. The fabric, so Marathon tweed, foam, Landau foam, and the ceiling material, I've got $1,500. I'm a little under that right now, but I've got some more expense to do, so $1,500 for that. The L-track and brackets, I've spent $450, and that is for the 4 lengths on the ceiling that I'm going to put in the van. I already had existing L-track from my old van, which I kept, so that probably saved me $800 already right there, maybe more. So I'm fortunate, I guess, on that one. So my L-track expense is definitely a lot lower for the amount of L-track that would be in my van. I'm gonna skip it and come back to it. The next one, we've got cabinets and storage. I put $1,200. Again, I can get access to some fairly lower cost material, and I do have friends that build cabinets. So me at $1,200 for cabinets, maybe not everyone can do that, but you might be able to get some IKEA cabinets or something and toss them in there. There's so many different ways to go about it, but I think $1,200 is fairly close. I'm not going to do crazy extensive storage cabinets like most, because my build is fairly modular because it's a work van as well, so it's not a full-time van life van. Lighting and wiring, so it'd be like your pot lights and your switches and all the wires and all this stuff. I've got $800. That's probably over budget, but again, things start adding up when you start buying different gauge of wire and lever nuts and all kinds of stuff like that. But $800 I figured is what that would cost. Cooking in the fridge, I ended up getting stuff, and I'm well under this right now. I wasn't sure at the time when I did the budget on what I wanted to do, but for cooking, I'm not going to install a induction stove. I ended up getting like a really nice Coleman camping stove, so propane, and I'm just going to store it in a slide out cabinet and use it when I need it, and then store it away, and then when I'm not using it, the drawer can be used for tools and stuff. And then I don't always have a stove on a countertop, so it can actually be a bit of a workspace or used for whatever. And the fridge, I ended up getting like a, what is it, Bodega 75 liter for Amazon Prime deal, and that was $475 for like a 12 volt fridge cooler style. It could be a freezer, double fridge, double freezer, either or. Seems pretty cool. And well, the stove was $150. It was used, but in like amazing condition. So right now I'm like $650 for cooking. I budgeted $1,500. Shower. So I'm not gonna do a shower in the van. Maybe I get like a portable one, like a propane one. You can go outside. I budgeted $500, so that's probably still a realistic budget. And the toilet would put in there, I bet you maybe another $400 or $500. I'm leaning towards the Julka separating toilet, but they don't have stock until late October. So I don't know what to do there, but that seems to be the best one. I'm not going to spend $1,500 on a whatever, well, you know, the Laveo one, or the one that like sucks it all up and it's got the Mylar bags and stuff. That's cool as all hell. I don't need that. Just a separating toilet for $400 or $500 is pretty good. Now the last one, battery and electrical. Holy cow! So that's the biggest expense for the van. I had budgeted $6,000. I've gone through that. Right now, I do have a ton of battery power now, and I was able to get stuff essentially half off. So I budgeted $6,000. And right now I'm probably about 8,000 plus. Now I've got an EcoFlow power hub, and it's just plug and play, and I've got 6 kilowatt hours of batteries, plus I bought a 315 or 14 amp hour watt cycle lithium battery for the to swap out my AGM. So now I think I've got over 10 kilowatt hours of battery power for the van. So that doesn't include, I did buy a Victron DC to DC charger. So I've got other things. I bet you I'm closer to 9,000. So that was the most expensive thing, and I went well over. Now I do have a lot, but if I had have got the 6 kilowatt hours of battery, like the independent system, full brand new from a retail location, you're talking $13,000-$14,000 just for that, not including the lithium battery I have. I met a person through Marketplace and went down to kind of Hood River area in Oregon, and was able to get the EcoFlow power system for $5,400 Canadian compared to 11,000. And then someone closer in Seattle was selling a 2 kilowatt hour battery it ended up $1,200 instead of the $2,600 for that battery in Canada. So I've gone over budget, but the deals were that sometimes you just have to do things right. So it was unfortunate, but I've got a ton of power, and I'm happy that that's done with. So the total number I came up with, added all together, was $44,500, which is just crazy. And that is me essentially doing everything. And I don't know. The numbers just get crazy. So it makes sense because everything's expensive these days. But there's a dog. That guy just bolting. So I haven't gone that. I can't afford that now that I've kind of got pretty far along. But right now I'm into about $25,000, and everything is put on hold. I've got no cabinets. I'm not getting the winch. I'm not getting suspension. Those are, you're talking $10,000 for the bumper and the winch and the suspension, if not more. So I cannot afford to do it. If anyone wants to sponsor this video and sponsor my van and put a Van Compass suspension on it, I'll pimp it for all 6 viewers. But yeah, that's kind of gives you an idea on what budgeting is for a Sprinter van. You can go less for sure, but you could also go more. Yeah, I just figure, you know, I'm not getting like a $5,000 20-year-old Ford Econoline. Like, why would you spend $45,000 renovating a van like that? You know, not that there's anything wrong with those vehicles, but the money doesn't add up. When you've got a brand new all-wheel drive Sprinter, it makes sense to not go ghetto on it. I'm using some nicer products and things. So hope some of this information helps and gives you an idea on what numbers you could be looking at, and just keep doing your research. You know, it's exhausting just sitting there constantly looking for deals and pricing, but you know, the deals do exist, and if you can jump on it quick and are patient, you can save money. You know, I'm keeping fairly close, if not under budget, and have had all the things that I was hoping to get more or less at this point. So yeah, we'll wrap this up. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video, and I hope some of that helps and some of this information is useful. Thanks for watching.